Mark Schwarzer, thanks for speaking to us at SBS.
No problems.
It all begins on Friday night. The last part of the road to Rio begins. Japan in the group, heavily favoured, you would think, probably along with Australia to go through, the two Asian Cup finalists. Is that the way you see it in the broader picture, that yourselves and Japan are really the two most likely to do damage in this section?
Well, on paper, that's what, like you said, everyone would expect. But again, the bottom line is you have to perform, and we're no different to any other team in the group, as is Japan. The bottom line is you need to pick up results, you need to win games, and that all starts on Friday. And if you don't do that, it doesn't matter, who you play for, what your name is. You're not going to qualify. So for us, it's just about making sure that we're fully focused on the job at hand and not underestimating any team that's out there.
Recent tournament qualifiers, we look at the last few World Cup campaigns and Asian Cup campaigns as well, you tended to get off to a flying start in the group tournament. That of course is the goal on Friday night against Oman, but they proved back in November how tricky an opposition they can be. They scored early, they hung on for the rest of the match. What kind of a challenge are you expecting from Oman, and how important is it, particularly given the heat and all the conditions around it, to get off to a big start?
Well, it's huge, and Oman will be looking at this game as a big opportunity for them. Playing in these conditions this time of the year, they're going to be obviously a lot more used to playing in these conditions than any of us are, and they'll be looking at this as a perfect opportunity for them to try and pick up 3 points against us again. For us, it's going to be a massive challenge because of the conditions, and obviously, they'll still be quite buoyant from the result that they had last time out, and it's going to be a big challenge for us. But we believe that we're good enough to win on Friday. But that's also very much treading cautiously and going about our job confidently and believing in our own ability.
You'll probably be losing less body weight than a lot of the outfield boys on Friday, but it is really tough, isn't it? I imagine it's going to alter the way the game's played, the tempo of the game, and probably the approach that you take.
Well, I think the approach and the tempo of the game is going to be very much a Middle Eastern style of game, where it is about, the game will be a little bit stretched, I think, and there'll be a slower pace to the game without a doubt. I mean, it's impossible to play at a high tempo for long periods of time with the conditions that we're going to have to play in. That's always a big open debate whether or not we should even be playing at this time of year, and let alone at 5 o'clock.
What's your take on it? I mean, it's a legitimate one. If you look at other leagues around the world, if it gets to 30 odd degrees, having drinks breaks and everything else, you're playing in 5 o'clock. It's plunging forward.
Well, I don't think people who make the decisions are really fully aware of the conditions that you have to play in, and I don't think that they themselves have put themselves in these sort of environments and try to do any exercise at all to understand the full extent of how difficult it is and potentially how dangerous it could be for people. So I think, unfortunately, like anything, something has to happen to someone before people take notice and make changes.
Is it a serious health issue?
I think it potentially could be. I think it's something that you got to take very carefully, and the whole approach from our side of things, from the medical side of things, from the physio point of view, has been very cautious and very much about making sure that your body fluids are at a certain level, and you really do take all the precautions that you possibly can. Because of the conditions are so tough.
Keeping the aircon off in the bus, we hear, is one of them.
Yeah, to a large degree, keep it on a very low amounts, because if you're going from extreme heats to obviously very cold environments, the players can get ill very quickly.
Just looking at the broader picture, finally yourself, Lucas, I guess Bresh, there's a lot of boys in the squad that this Sahari that's likely to be their final tilt at getting to a World Cup. Is there seems to be a real camaraderie amongst the group, almost in some kind of recognition of that?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, all of us. Well, I in particular, I know this is definitely my last campaign.
You're putting it out there now.
No, 100%. No, not at all. But for me, it's all about trying to create more history and qualifying for three World Cups, and everyone in the squad is exactly the same opinion that they want to be part of it. Some guys have not qualified before, haven't been part of the squads before. Some guys have very much been involved. Some have missed out before. So there's a lot of underlying expectations and challenges for a lot of players and desires, and we can combine them all together to really reach one target and one goal, and that's to qualify for 2014.
Wish you the best of luck on Friday and for the rest of the tournament. Maybe we'll see it at administrators' friendly match where all the guys making the decisions can come and play, and then see how they go from there.
That's probably not a bad idea.
Yeah. Mark,
cheers. Thank you.